We're back with Allie and Stephanie, who are survivors of the Aurora shooting. Allie was shot in the neck. Stephanie stayed by her side to help save her life. So you're applying direct pressure to Allie's wound. Mm-hmm. You're in an aisle in a movie theater where there's still a gunman executing people a few rows above you. Mm-hmm. Now what? Because you're there. She's still bleeding.
It was wait it out and pray to God and hope for the best.
And so continue to walk us through, because the one thing that I find so notable about this particular story is getting back to you're losing blood at a rate that is truly emergent. And, you know, in most scenarios, something like this happens, you just call 911 and, you know, you're the one person injured and the ambulance comes. But in this scenario, 58 people around you are injured or have been killed. Had you ever thought through what you would do if you were ever in an emergency situation? Had you ever thought, you know, not at this particular
this goes beyond,
but
but
you know, what if I'm in a scenario where there's a car accident and someone's bleeding? Or had you either of you thought through what you might do? Because that's what today's show is all about, trying to teach people to prepare, to think before something like this happens. Because you did exactly what you're supposed to do. Most people wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you the closest thing that I had ever encountered before this that may have prepared me for it a little bit more than I expected. My mom had a miniature pinscher dog. When I moved back home, I was probably 19. I moved back home and I had a dog too, but she was a big dog. She was a German Shepherd Rottweiler mix. And they got into a fight one night, and my dog nearly tore her throat out. And we got in there just in time to break up the fight, but my mom's dog was on the floor with blood coming out of her neck profusely, very near to death. And my mom is just screaming, freaking out, and I told her, you need to stop screaming, and we need to call 911, and we need to put some flour on it because it'll help it clot. I told her, put pressure on it, I'll get some flour, put some flour on it, help it clot, and then we're gonna get into the car and go to the hospital.
So in a different way, you got sort of prepared
exactly
for bleeding, but still nothing like this.
Exactly, and that's the closest thing that I can figure that kicked into my mind, was that I knew that I needed to put pressure on it because the blood is everywhere and it's not supposed to be there.
It's not supposed to come out.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be coming out, so.
So you learned that it's all about pressure. I don't want people at home to be mistaken. Don't worry about the flour.
Yeah.
Just put pressure,
Just put
and that's
pressure
essential. What then happened?
We had to
crawl over
dead bodies, get to a railing so I could lift myself up. And I had my left arm over her for support, but I actually walked out of that theater with her help. Then it wasn't until I was outside the entire building that just a random guy came up and just picked me up and carried me to an ambulance, which was across 2 parking lots and up a hill was the nearest ambulance, and just set me down on the ground because there were so many medics just everywhere. I was probably outside on the ground for 5-10 minutes before I even got help.
And this is what happens in a mass casualty situation. And one of the things that people need to realize, if you're watching this show and you've never thought through what you're going to do in a situation like this, in a mass casualty situation, there is never enough resources. And that's when it's so crucial that you step up and do what you both did. I mean, you helped yourself survive, and your best friend Stephanie truly helped you survive.